Hey everyone, Charlie here with Advent Tech. I'm going to take you through the basic functionality of the OneScreen Remote Control today, which comes with your T7 panel. This is a T7 75-inch. One of the things you'll notice, because I'm standing less than a foot away from the panel, is I'm often pointing the remote control over here towards where this power indicator light is. If you're standing a little further away from the panel, you don't typically have to do this, but if you're standing right next to the panel, trying to use the remote control, hot tip, that's the direction you want to point the remote control. I'm going to push one of the buttons on the remote control to show you kind of a cool feature, which is there's a pre-programmed right app button right on the device. Now, why do I want to open the right app right away when trying to show you the remote control? Well, I think instead of holding up the remote control to the camera over and over again, I thought it'd be kind of fun to take a picture of the remote control, and now I'm going to import it from my Google Drive directly into the right app, which will hopefully give you a little bit better picture than me trying to hold up to the camera over and over again. The first thing I think we should do is just go ahead and put it up right. I think that would be pretty handy. And now we can kind of look through the remote control, and it probably won't hurt our eyes quite as much as me trying to hold it up over and over again, right? So first thing you'll notice is there's some really simple buttons across this interface here, right? We're going to use our pen to make these circles and stuff. There's the power button. Now, I'll say this about the power button on the remote control. Its default is to power off the panel, which I don't necessarily like to do. If I'm going to walk away and just want sort of the security lock screensaver, then I actually just hit the button right here on the panel. Then I can use my passcode to get right back in right away. If you hit this power button, by default, it's programmed to totally power off the panel, which I don't necessarily want to do. There's some really obvious buttons. There's this whole section here, which is your arrow indicators up, down, and the OK button. You'll see us use that in just a second. And then the really obvious ones here would be the mute button and the down and up volume buttons. Now, those are really helpful. Probably one of my favorite things about the remote control is the ability to quickly mute or quickly turn up and down the volume. You can see it opens the little volume bar here if I use the volume controls here. And of course, with your finger, you can also control the volume. But I've had a few times when I've just been jumping between apps and browsers and different tools where I'll open something and the volume opens really loud on the device. And it's not hard to open up the little volume control on the side of the panel. You can do it from either side of the panel, but it's about 2 steps to get to this volume control before you can really mute it or lower it. So it's super handy to have that volume control right here on the remote. So we're going to go ahead and erase these little guys, and I'm going to show you some of the other buttons here on the remote control. All right, so like we said, there is a lot of really helpful buttons. Here's the home button, here's the apps button, and then here is the back button. And then I'm going to show you the settings button, and you'll see us use this kind of arrow indicator while we're doing all this. So first I'm going to show you the home button. Guess what? It just takes you to your home screen. No big surprise there. But then I'm going to hit the apps button, which is right next to it. And it opens up the menu that's typically available down here at the bottom at all times, which is your app menu. You can easily get to the app menu as well by simply pulling out from the bottom of the screen. But it's nice to be able to do it right here. And let's say I want to go and open up, say, the calculator app or something like that. You can see here now I'm using the up and down arrows, and I'm going to hit the OK button in the middle to select the calculator app, right? Now, next to the application button was the back button. I'm going to hit the back button. It takes me right back to where I was. And if I hit the back button again, it'll take me back to the home page. And so those buttons kind of make sense. I think home page, application, and the back button. And just to kind of show you again where those are, they're right here at the top of the device. Settings is important, and I'm going to show you the settings. And then once I show you settings, actually, we're going to show you what's at the very bottom here. So let's go ahead and just move up. I'm going to now show you settings, and then we're also going to cover these buttons right down here at the bottom, the blue, red, and green buttons, which can be very helpful. So we're going to go ahead and hit the settings button. Opens up the settings menu. And typically it'll open up to the top menu here, but you can just go right down to system. If you're in the system settings, go about halfway down the screen to remote configuration. So what's fun about this is it'll actually just say here, blue button, red button, green button. and you tell it what you want it to do, right? This is all it takes to program the pre-programmable buttons on the device is you just tell it, I want you to open up the camera, my calendar, I've got it set for calculator, this one, browser, this one for timer. So let me show you how that works really quick. I'm going to hit the green button, which is the timer button, and voila, the timer app opens up right away because that's what I pre-programmed the button to do. Now I'm going to open up the calculator app, which we've already seen. And this is just another quick way to get to the calculator app. And again, I'm going to hit the back button, right? Because I don't want to go back to the home page necessarily. I want to go back to settings, which is where we just were. And of course, there is the red button, which is the browser button. So I'm hitting the browser button now, and it just takes me to a blank browser because I didn't have anything already open. If you were working in the browser and you had something pulled up, it would just pull that back up. So again, this is how you set the pre-programmable buttons. It's just that easy. You go to System, and then you tell it what you want it to open. Every time you add a new app to the panel as well, by the way, it shows up here. So if you added Google Classroom, if you added Khan Academy, you added iExcel, you can pre-program those apps to open with the buttons on the remote control, which I think is pretty darn cool. Now let's go back. And you've already seen me use one of these other buttons quite a bit, which is the right app button, right? So this is the one I keep pushing over and over again, which allows me to pull up the right app, which we keep using. And so now you know what that button does. Now, this section here is all about the inputs, right? And you might have your teacher laptop, you might have an OPS, which is sort of like having a second brain in the panel. That's a Windows or an updated Android one. Or you might just be plugged into the USB-C input, right? So this allows you to switch back and forth between maybe one of these is your document camera, one of these is your teacher device. And I actually have plugged in, you can't see my laptop, but you can see the USB-C cable plugged into the front here. And that is one of the options right here. So I'm going to hit that button and you'll see it will pull up my laptop. This is actually my laptop, which is plugged into the panel right now. It's just been sitting there waiting for me to activate that screen, and it's live and it's touchscreen, and I can go around and do whatever I want to do on my laptop now. And I just turned it on from here. I didn't have to worry about how to find the input and pick a source or anything like that. I was just able to push the button right here and it turned it right on. So we'll go back home. We'll go back to the right app. And again, that was this button right here. Just a few more things to show you. I hope that you're still hanging in there. But again, you're going to be a pro when it comes to using your remote control here now. Now, this is the Share app here, right? So this is the OneScreen Share app. And when you hit the OneScreen Share app, it would be a way to wirelessly share devices, whether that's a student device, that's your teacher laptop, or that's even your phone. So if you hit that button, it opens up our actual Share app. And our OneScreen Share app is a super versatile tool. You can share from multiple devices all at the same time. It does all kinds of stuff. And it's our preferred method of you actually casting to the device is this Share app and the Share button, because you're wireless when you're sharing using the Share app versus trying to plug it in to the device, which I wanted to do that just for demonstration purposes. But typically, if I'm doing a presentation or I'm sharing, I will share using the Share app. And then the last button is our Google Assistant button. So the Google Assistant button is very cool. And, you know, the functionality of it, I think, is best from the home screen. I've noticed that if you go to the home screen, that's where a lot of times you get the best functionality. Sometimes if you're trying to use the Google Assistant, you have another app open, it might try to do something within the app it can't really do. So typically, if I'm on the home screen, this is where Google app tends to work the best. It's just been my practice and my experience. Hit the button. Google, open up my Google Drive. So there you can see Google was able to open up my Google Drive right directly from the panel because I'm logged into my Google Drive. And there's other things it can do as well if you just wanted to do a quick Google search. Google, where's the best place in Iceland to see the puffins? And it's also talking to me, by the way, because I have the voice feature turned on, right? So Again, it's kind of a cool feature. If you don't know how to use Google Assistant, you might take a little bit of getting used to, but the button is right there. Now, keep in mind, this is not a microphone, so you don't necessarily hit the Google Assistant button and talk into the remote. I've seen a lot of people try to do that. The microphones are across the top of the panel, so the panel needs to be able to hear you in order for that feature to work properly. So I hope this has been a helpful demonstration of the OneScreen Remote Control. It is a very powerful tool. I think it's one of my favorite things about the OneScreen panels is they baked a lot of features actually into the remote control. And I like to be able to navigate quickly around the apps, the home screen, my inputs, get right to the right app, use the Google Assistant, open up OneScreen Share. But probably my favorite part is the volume buttons, like I mentioned before, because oftentimes when you're navigating around different apps and different websites, the volume settings are different. So hitting that mute button really quickly has helped me out quite a few times. And then, of course, there's the pre-programmable buttons as well that are just great for you to personalize what you want when you need it. My kids are always using the panel, and I have to set a timer for them often for them to know when it's time to get off the panel. And so I use that green button, which is the pre-programmed timer button, quite a bit myself. So thank you so much. I hope this has been helpful information, and give us a like or follow if it has. Thanks.